rise and shout. It is time for What's Trending. Jarom, we turn our attention to BYU football and Arkansas. Tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, beautiful afternoon lineup is set up, pristine conditions. But BYU has been trending in the wrong directions in terms of overall quality of football. So my first question for you today is, why do we think that BYU, with those trends in mind, will play a better brand of football against Arkansas, given what's happened over the last 4 games?
I'm not sure I do, Spence. I sure hope they do. But with Jaron Hall clearly injured with that shoulder, I have concerns. If Jaron Hall was healthy and this was happening, and it did against Oregon and Wyoming, but against Utah State, he got banged up. Aaron Roderick admitted, hey, I ran the ball a lot in the fourth quarter to try and protect Jaron a little bit with that shoulder. And then he didn't practice much, he said. And then Notre Dame happened. The interception was weird. The safety was weird. Obviously, Jaron was in a different space physically and mentally. Hopefully, he's out of that and BYU can play better. But I don't need BYU to play better tomorrow, Spence. I need BYU to win. When BYU plays a home game against East Carolina, certainly I hope the Cougars play a crisp, smooth, great execution game. East Carolina's a little sneaky for me right now, though. But when you're at Liberty on the East Coast, you just got to win. I think with this BYU football team, we've seen half of the season. They are who they are to a point. Certainly they can make progress the back half of the season. But we're halfway through this thing. This BYU football team is a little different than we thought they'd be. They're 4-2. And if they win tomorrow, it's all good. It's all good, man, on AMC. But this team needs to play a way to win. They don't need to play a certain brand of football tomorrow. Certainly we want BYU to play better. And was winning enough against Utah State, we asked, and the answer was no. And against Notre Dame, had they won, it didn't matter that the first half was messy. But they lost, so we look at the first half, right? I don't need them to play a better brand of football. I just need them to win tomorrow.
Can BYU beat Arkansas without playing a better brand of football? That's the question to me. Can they do it with how?
I think so.
How so? I'm trying to figure out how BYU can maintain what they've been doing and still get past a very, very physical Arkansas team. I feel like BYU is going to have to be on par, at least defensively, what they were against Baylor for the likes of Arkansas, because Arkansas is going to run the ball a lot, and BYU's defensive front's going to be challenged, and the linebackers are going to be very, very active. So I feel like BYU needs to get back to at least that brand going back to game number 2.
At least that? That feels like the high.
Defensively, right? I'm talking just defensively
like
against the run.
3 yards a carry good? Or sub-4 would do it for me.
Well, yeah. Baylor ran the ball how many times? 52 times?
For 2.9.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Not 2.9%. Arkansas's got a better running back than Baylor.
Very nice.
Sub-4 would be incredible. Yeah. Okay. 52 times for sub-4 would be under Arkansas's average of 233 yards a game. Like, that's good enough for me. BYU has to hold Arkansas under their season average, to me. So
if they get 220, you're good?
Fine.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, Vegas is telling us shootout, as you pointed out. 66. It started at 59.5 on the line.
66 right now.
66. This screams game in the 30s. Does BYU need to get to 30 to win this game? And can we expect that with Jaron Hall's shoulder, Spence? We talked yesterday with Matt Jones, who covers the Razorbacks, and we discovered, hey, this pass defense is they're really banged up in the secondary. Oh, they've given up 18 plays of 30-plus passing. Should BYU chuck it? But can we expect Jaron to chuck it if the shoulder ain't good?
Well, and Jaron Hall, in his words, said he's feeling much better than he was last week. He's practiced all week. So maybe that factors into why we think BYU will play a better brand of football over the past 4 games, because it's a big-time opponent. BYU's home, and Jaron Hall's shoulder is feeling better. But I am hoping that BYU can figure it out and get better to some degree, because if they just maintain what they did against Notre Dame and Utah State and Wyoming, I don't think this is going to be a BYU win.
Well, which halves are we talking about? Because if second half BYU against Notre Dame shows up, hey, good chance to win at home against Arkansas. If first half BYU shows up, you're going to lose by double figures. You can't have that slow of a start.
How much will the energy of LaVell Edwards Stadium help BYU?
Hopefully a lot. Unlike
last week's scenario where it was so bad in the first half and BYU did not have a significant home field crowd behind them like that. You could tell that it was weird. Like, BYU fans were awfully quiet in the first half, understandably, against
down
us.
18.
They didn't have anything really to cheer about other than a touchdown pass to Cody Epps.
Yeah.
But how much energy can the crowd bring BYU if they have another slow start? I'm not saying BYU can't overcome a slow start. I just think they have to play better, more clean, eliminate stupid mistakes. BYU can't be trailing by 12 points at halftime against Arkansas.
Right. And I think the stupid mistakes have mostly been the interception by Jaron Hall and the safety. I think that's what Kalani is referring to. There are other mistakes, certainly. But those two were big ones in the first half. That cost BYU only 5 points, but momentum was not on BYU's side. I'm with you. I think BYU playing at home is a very different team. And first half slow starts can't happen. First down, got to be there. This is, okay, a couple things that need to be better that we haven't talked about yet. Offensive line. We've talked about how awesome this offensive line can be. Show it against this SEC team. The second half against that Notre Dame defensive line, which was good, really strong run game by BYU. Let's go. Show up in this one. The other is this. Peyton Wilgar and Keenan Peely are really good players. They are not making enough plays. Peyton Wilgar had a nice tip that Max Tooley intercepted.
Yep, he created
Keenan Peely's a baller too. I would love to see those guys have a few more plays, stops on a critical third down, pass deflections like Peyton had. More of that. Max Tooley right now is BYU's best player on defense by far. A little more from Tyler Batty as well, getting in the backfield, stuffing the run. These are good players for BYU. Play a little bit better at home and get a big win against Arkansas.
Schematically, it is a committee approach on defense for Ilaisa Tuiaki. Like BYU plays, I'm not even kidding you, they play like 30 guys a game on defense. It's pretty wild, like a lot of substitutions.
So should we not expect a certain amount of plays from certain guys?
So maybe that certainly factors into.
But these guys are so experienced.
Your best players being on the field less. I want to see more Keenan
when you're
on the field. I want to see more Peyton Wilgar on the field. I want to see all of them on the field more.
Well, if it's not going to happen, when you're on the field, let's see more plays made. That's probably a realistic hope.
Keep your best players on the field, and you got a better chance of having.
I don't think BYU's
a better brand of football.
Well, I don't think BYU's suddenly changing that this week.
I don't think
maybe
so
they
either.
do.
That's personal preference.
Yeah, that's Ilaisa Tuiaki's goal.
For sure.
Okay, topic 2. Is a 10-win season on the line against the Razorbacks?
Yes, very much so. If BYU loses to Arkansas, you've dropped back-to-back games, you're 4-3, and now you are asking BYU, you are saying, okay, to get to 10 wins, you have to win 5 in a row, and you have to win a bowl game to get to 10. Like, this is a huge turning point game. We talked about this yesterday. Mathematically, I mean, just odds are that if BYU does not win this game, they're not going to win 10 games this season.
I agree.
Like winning 6 in a row, when you have to go to Liberty, you still have to go to Boise State. You're hosting a pretty good East Carolina team, and you still got to go to Stanford. And the back's 5. Like, there's going to be some challenges for BYU. And if you have to limp into the Liberty game after 2 straight losses, not good.
Smells like, and I know it's very different than 2017, but it smells like ECU in 2017.
Not great, right?
Yeah, where you're going back east, you're struggling a little bit. Granted, that team was terrible.
Like, if BYU loses to Arkansas, I feel like the realistic ceiling is 9 wins, including a bowl win.
You're probably looking at 8.
You probably go 8-4 in the regular season.
Yes, which would be such a bummer with this group. This group's so talented.
And then have a shot at 9. But if BYU, like, that's why this game there's some desperation.
Yes.
Like, it's significant urgency surrounding this game for BYU to win this game, get back on track, because if you're 5-2 going to Liberty, now you take the mojo on the road, and you're feeling good again, and the Cougars have a real shot at winning 10 games.
I'm gonna say right now, there have been too many injuries to realistically think that 10-2 is going to occur. Just too many injuries. If BYU was less banged up, and you don't have a shoulder with Jaron, and you don't have a Puka thing, and a Malik Moore thing, and so on, yeah, 10 is possible. But
I'm suggesting 10 with the bowl game. So I'm saying, like,
I'm
you beat
saying
Arkansas.
10 period, Spence.
Yeah.
Like, it's just too many injuries to realistically expect that. Again, UAB principle. There's too many injuries to be like, yep, we should hold this team at the same standard. No, we should not. Next man up, they should do it. Well, in certain areas, BYU can sustain that. Offensive line and receiver. But there's no other positions where BYU's like, yep, you could lose X, Y, Z and still be the same or close to it. No. So this team is heading for 8 or 9 wins, the way they're playing. Now maybe total. Now maybe they shock us, and tomorrow just ball out.
They're 5-2.
And they're 5-2, and they find something defensively and offensively that we haven't seen the last 5. Again, we're talking about a 5-game streak that's pretty consistent for BYU in terms of slow starts. Certain things happen and don't happen on offense and defense.
Again, why do we expect BYU to be different?
I just want to win. I'm not at the point where style points matter because you know who BYU's not playing this season? They're not at New Mexico and hosting, UTEP anymore. This isn't
They've
the
already
80s and
taken
90s.
on those teams, Jarom. They've already played South Florida. And they've already played Utah State.
You've got a sneaky at-Liberty game, as we mentioned. You got SEC in Game 7. Like, BYU's never played a Game 7 in terms of physicality, non-conference like this, maybe at home in a long time. Maybe in Independence a little bit. But I'm talking the standard here of truth has been like the 80s and 90s. Ty will throw for 400. No, it's just win. And that's what the next couple of years will be, Spence. Just win the games. We don't care how you win at Kansas State. Just win 17-14, make a field goal late. Make a field goal. That feels like a long time ago. But, like, BYU can do a couple simple things and get this done and have a really nice season. They're not far from that. But they're also not far from sliding into oblivion.
Yeah. Just win. Man, it feels like BYU's got to play better than they did against Notre Dame. We know that.
Totally. Real quick, percentages to win. Arkansas, 64%. A little bit surprising from ESPN FPI.
The home advantage. They love it.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
At Liberty, 53%. East Carolina, 76%. At Boise State, 57%. Utah Tech, 99%, obviously. Stanford, 59%. BYU's got a good shot to have a nice run here, but hey, got to show up.
Got to beat Arkansas. I mean, yes, 10-win season, 1,000,000% on the line tomorrow. Any shot comes down to beating Arkansas tomorrow.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel like this team's too banged up to realistically expect that, in my opinion.
All right, let's go.